Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you how to remove these PEX steel clamps from your PEX fitting and your PEX tubing in an easy, very easy way, just using bolt cutters and some hot water. Typically, or at least I haven't seen at Lowe's, I haven't seen a tool that removes these types of clamps from PEX tubing. I've seen videos on YouTube where guys use bolt cutters, but then they use a torch to get the tubing off, which you can either start to melt your tubing onto your fitting and you can't reuse these again because of that, or you put too much energy into it. So I'm going to show you a different way. Hopefully this way works for you, and I think you can even do it in your crawl space or even in your house if you're trying to remove these from your current PEX fittings. Do not go out and buy this tool to remove that, because this, I think Apollo sells it. This does not remove the steel type of clamps. This removes the copper type of clamps. It requires a different type of tool to clamp the PEX tubing onto the fitting. I made the mistake by trying to remove the steel clamps with these. These are only meant for the copper, these copper fittings right here. So don't use this tool. And too, if you're just getting into PEX, I suggest that you only go and buy this one-handed tool. I have all the fitting tools. This is the one that helps me get into tight spaces, and it's just easy because you can use it as a one-hand cinch tool. So I just recommend buying this if you're looking into getting into PEX. I think this is $40 if you buy the clamp for the copper fittings. They look nice, and they may work better. I'm not sure. Just from my experience, I just do stuff around my house. But it's way more expensive. It's closer to $80 to $100 if you go and buy it at Lowe's, whereas this is just 40 bucks at Lowe's. So, but I'm going to show you how to remove this. First thing I do is I have my bolt cutters that I got at Lowe's from Cobalt. You don't really need anything too crazy, because all you have to do is just put this right on that steel clamp, and you just want to pinch it until you kind of hear that pop. Sometimes it requires two hands, and then sometimes I like to go from the other side just to kind of fatigue it. Well, let's see. Just like that. So that pops this little head off right here, pops that off right there. So what I can do is then take my little needle nose pliers and just wiggle that down, and then it should come apart. Take that off. But what happens is once you get that clamp off, this PEX tubing is still pretty tight on that fitting, and then unless you just want to yank on it, you can do that with needle nose pliers, but it just takes a lot of effort, and if this is in an existing system, I wouldn't recommend that you yank on this. So what I like to do is let me bring it closer. I may have to adjust the camera for this, but got my water in my bowl right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour that hot water right here on the PEX tubing, and it doesn't really matter if you get it on that metal, but you just want to get that hot water on there, and then you want to expand that PEX can be a little messy, especially if you're in your crawl space, and boom, comes off easy peasy. So do these other ones real quick, and then it should be it. But this is the easiest way that I've found to remove these steel clamps. And like I said, these types of clamps are way easier to put on in tighter crawl space areas, or if you can't get that big clamp tool in there, just to use that one-handed crimper. Let's get this one off. Usually once you break that, it loses its clamping capabilities. But again, you just can't really pull these things off unless you've got some sheer muscle that I obviously lack. But why do that when you can just use heat to expand that PEX material, and it's just gonna grow out of its fit, and then you should just be able to pull that right off, just like that. There you have it. You got your little PEX clamp back, and you haven't had to use any type of heat source other than just hot water. And it's probably about how much water I use. You can probably even use less, but that's the best way I've found to get those off. So hopefully that helps. If y'all have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and I'll feel free to answer them. I've had